War stories working at a gun store. If you're like me, you kind of both love and hate some gun stores. They can smell funny, and let's put it this way, the people there can be a little colorful sometimes, a little interesting, and a breed just a little bit different, a click off. Well, here to talk to me today is noted firearms expert, the expert's expert, Mike Kwiatkowski, who agreed to sit down and, among other things, answer some questions about, Mike, give me some war stories about working in and around the firearm industry, people that you see in gun stores, and just crazy, weird stories. Now, we're going to change some dates, some locations, and names. None of that's going to be accurate in order to protect the less than innocent, perhaps. Let's get into it. Mike, war stories from gun stores, ones that you've worked in, you've had friends work at. We're going to generalize this as much as possible.
Oh, thank God.
To protect things. What are some crazy war stories?
One I remember was a gentleman coming in, and I use gentleman in the loosest of terms, going to buy a handgun. Fine, great. Fill out the 4473, need to see some ID. He rolls up his sleeve and presents his wrist. Shows us his jail intake bracelet.
That's a government ID.
That's exactly what he said when we objected to it. I quote, "It be government issue." We turned down that sale.
Did not work out for him?
No, we advised him to be on his way.
Well, I'm glad that I'm on the same wavelength of the recently incarcerated about what they're going to be saying. So that's great. I don't know if that's good or bad that I'm inside that mental space.
Congratulations, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, it can be a wild ride sometimes. Well, all right. Well, that's a good one. What others do you have?
Some years ago, I was working at a pawn shop, helping a buddy out. And a guy came in and he was trying to get rid of a few items to raise some cash. He needed a gun and he needed it right away. Just what we want to hear.
Right, yeah.
So first he came in and he pawned a television. Okay, fine. And then he came back and he brought a DVD player and he wanted to swap it out for the television. And we told him, no, we can't do that. The TV is very new. The DVD player is kind of old. And I think there was it was cracked on the side or something.
Well loved.
Yeah, well loved. And why do you want to trade them out? And he said, well, I was just given this here new DVD and I want to watch it. And I said, sir, if we give you back your television but take your DVD player, how can you watch your DVD? And he paused. The guy stopped and blinked, set down the DVD player, and I realized this is a family show, so I'm going to paraphrase. Oh, hell, that's why I'm on this side of the counter and you're on that side. And out the door he went.
Yeah, that's just, and did he have a driver? Did he drive himself out of curiosity?
We purposefully don't want to look.
That's fair.
Especially when he returned with it was a 6-pack of, I don't even remember what beer it was, but I do remember it was something pretty awful. But 2 were missing, and he wanted to know what he could get in pawn for that.
For the 4 remaining beers of the 6-pack?
Correct.
Question, were they still cold?
I don't recall because no one in the shop was willing to drink it, so it wasn't worth the purchase to us.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, that's and probably a good idea not to put fingerprints on those either.
Sometimes it's better just not to know these things and send the customer on their way. We're not able to help everybody.
The joys of retail, right?
The joys of retail and also the joys of some people will be very prim and proper and call it the firearms business or the arms industry. No, at times it's just an awful racket, and we shake our heads. And these are some examples of that.
Keep going. Keep laying them on me if you got more.
Oh, God. Well, as you know, I used to be a dealer, and I also used to have an SOT of my own, a special occupational taxpayer. And I would do gun shows. Gun shows are awful events. Not for the, well, certainly for the buyers when they see the price points that most dealers think the things are worth. But it's just awful sitting behind that table for 3 days or even longer if it's a special show. And I remember a gentleman coming in. He wanted to purchase, it was a handgun again. And he was visibly, he just wasn't acting right. And when he leaned in, that's when I realized he smelled like a distillery, just intoxicated. And he was saying various things about his ex-wife, and I'm sure you can tell where this is going. Again, it's a family show. And he became very angry when I refused the sale. And I later heard from his, as seen on television, daytime TV lawyer for turning down the sale and constitutional rights. I eventually got myself out of that mess, no money spent, but I did not enjoy, I enjoy going to gun shows. I did not enjoy doing gun shows.
I feel like the rabbit hole of gun shows might go very deep for you.
I've done them for a lot of years, and during the ban, the 1994 to 2004 ban, I purchased, repaired, and resold then pre-ban high-capacity magazines. And I really should have quit while I was ahead, but here I still am how many years later?
Every time, it's like the Layer Cake movie, right? Every time you get out, they try to pull you back in.
Yes. You can never get out.
Yeah.
Hotel California.
Does or Nebraska or wherever it is that you happen to be.
Exactly.
Hotel Omaha. Mm-hmm. Guys, if you enjoy me bringing in the expert of experts, Mike Kwiatkowski, fflexpert.com, be sure to let us know. Let the algorithm know as well. Hit that like button. Throw up some questions. Throw up your comments. Throw up your craziest gun store stories in the comment section below. I look forward to reading them. Should we bring Mike back? What do you think? Let us know. What other fun story? I mean, well, I'll sprinkle one in. And this is a common one that I see. And actually, this is something that I realize this could come off as an advertisement, but it genuinely wasn't intended to be this way for you. But I remember standing at a major box store gun library, and that may give you a little bit of a hint as to where this happened. This was some years ago. And there was a family where, just in overhearing stuff, it became pretty evident that grandpa or someone like that had passed away. And they had employees bringing in shopping carts of 1903 Springfields, 1917, M1 carbines, M1 Garands. There was a shopping cart. I don't know how many, what appeared to be, surplus 1911s were in there. I mean, it was piled, and a lot of them were in boxes, and a lot of them were just scattered and loose. I mean, I remember kind of just eyeballing what was there, and it's like, holy, I mean, this is many tens of thousands of dollars. Probably actually in the six figures. And now that I'm thinking a little bit more about it, definitely in the six figures. What wasn't in the six figures, though, was the amount that they were offered for it, which was something substantially less. And unfortunately, I've had that experience repeat itself time and time again, where, I'm in a gun store, whether it's when I'm traveling or whatever else the case may be, I like to just go and browse. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, you hear these family members who have no idea the value of the collection that grandpa had. They have no idea the legality of the collection
that's a whole nother story.
We can, folks, you want to see that
That's another
video, let us know that one. That one goes deep, for sure. But right, I mean, just people just getting screwed over.
Well, in many cases, the widow is selling it for exactly what her late husband told her that she purchased them for.
Yes, yeah, that's a classic mistake. And I know that's one, and again, I truly did not intend this as like a segue for an ad, but since I've gone up to the door, I know that's something that you also help too, the disposition of estates and all that kind of stuff. And people can find you at fflexpert.com. But that's truly was not where I was going with that. But when I think of just miserable experiences at gun stores, it's watching low information family members selling off the treasure collection for, if they're lucky, nickels and dimes on the dollar. and sometimes much worse. And lo and behold, if you get into situations where like you've got an injunction slapped on you, you're going through divorce, and like gun stores hear that, and that's like you can see the money signs in their eyes. Do you think, in your opinion, as a well-traveled guy, do you think that this is particularly, this level of kind of predatory instinct, do you think this is, I'm not going to say unique to the firearms industry because it definitely isn't, but what is it about the firearms industry that just like drives this?
I have a flippant answer that has a lot of truth behind it. And that is that the firearms industry, or racket, whatever you prefer to call it, is a long plastic hallway filled with pimps, thieves, and whores where good men die like dogs. And there is also a negative side. And I apologize to Hunter S. Thompson for butchering his quote. But unfortunately, the industry attracts a lot of charlatans. And truthfully, the industry is set up in a way to encourage that. And this is a topic for another video, but the general profits earned, if someone makes 10% on a long gun, I'm talking a normal dealer, new in the box, whatever brand you want to think about, it's a little more for handguns, more for NFA, more for used. How do you keep the lights on at 10%? You sell something for $500, you're up $50. You've got rent, utilities, insurance, security, compliance-related expenses, and that's gross profit before taxes. So a lot of dealers, especially those who have been around for a long time, they'll get that reputation, fairly or not, that they're ripping off widows and orphans and whatever else have you. They're just keeping the lights on. Running a store, especially, one of the things rules, and when you apply for an FFL, it asks, do you intend to only do business at gun shows? And if the answer is yes, it's an automatic denial. I believe that started during the Clinton administration. They have not yet updated that to the internet. Being able to do things online from, say, a home, you don't need to make as much profit, or those low profits that you're making naturally cover the bills and then some. A traditional shop, they're doing the Lord's work for peanuts.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you've got all of those expenses and employees and everything else, nestled in between, basically. So, I mean, do you think that that's basically the pressure escape valve that, in essence, kind of greases the skids here and keeps the places open, or those kind of estates?
It helps. I mean, certainly if you're a huge volume, and we can think of a number of dealers who they're just constantly churning through volumes, and they do a lot of B2B or business-to-business sales, they can make it that way. But when you get, it's generally a guy on the corner, little shop, small parking lot, they need those used gun sales. That's where they make their profit. And as a dealer, I know that's where I made my profits. You need those used sales where you're bringing them in for nickels, dimes on the dollar. And people look at that and, oh, you doubled your money on that gun. Well, that's great. I also made 10% on these last 20.
Right.
That helps keep the lights on. It helps pays the bill. Or pays bills, excuse me.
It all comes out in the wash, basically.
In the end, yes. You're really not making that much money. Another gag and a truth from the firearms industry is that if you want to make $1 million, start with 20. 20 million, that is.
Right. Right, because, I mean, you're getting virtually nothing back, in essence.
Correct. There are far easier ways to turn a dollar. And especially as we look at this trend toward lawsuits and liability and ignoring the Lawful Commerce and Arms Act or weaseling our way around it, we're going to just see more and more of that because these dealers have to earn an income somehow.
Right. And for better or worse, this is one of the pressure escape valves through which the consequences of the industry flow.
Yes. Yes. And I don't see it getting better.
We appreciate you coming in. How do people find you and you do estate consulting and all that kind of stuff as well?
Correct. I've been involved with everything from a few gun estates all the way up to rooms full of guns. In some cases, stacked from the ceiling or even hanging from the ceiling. FFLexpert.com. You can find me through there, and I'm more than happy to help with questions.
Great. Well, thanks for coming in, Mike. And of course, folks, if you want to be able to ask Mike directly some questions, maybe we can coax him into come in for some more videos. Be sure to leave your comments down below. I'll be looking at those, feeding it back to him. We'll be talking it through. There could be some juicy ones. I also want you to go ahead, leave your favorite gun store experiences. Please keep it PG-13, okay? Your favorite gun store experiences in the comment section below. And maybe in a future video, Mike and I can talk about some of the craziest ones that we see in the comment section. Our quote of the day comes from noted Catholic philosopher G.K. Chesterton, who said, quote, "The most extraordinary thing in the world is an ordinary man and an ordinary woman with their ordinary children," end quote. I look forward to seeing your comments on this one. Post up your crazy gun store stories, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. If you enjoyed this one, please feel free to check out some of our other great content, and we'll see you in the next one.